Behringer U-PHORIA UMC202HD USB audio interface with Midas mic preamps, so they tell me. Now, here is a familiar story of an individual who has a full-time job, who has a family and a mortgage and loan repayments, maybe a couple of vehicles. He sponsors a donkey in Afghanistan or something like that. But he wants to get into audio production with a Mac in his converted garage. So he's thinking, right, I've got about under £100 to spend, or whatever that is in dollars. So he's a clever fellow and he looks at Behringer. Now these guys are knocking out gear which the same sort of electronics, or indeed the same electronics as Boss, and they generally stick it in a sort of plastic box and knock it out for something less than a round of drinks at the pub. So in this particular case we have a metal case. Now the features of this thing: it's a USB powered device, so it plugs into the back of your Mac there. It has a lot of connectivity. That's the thing that stood out about it. It's got your old school in and out MIDI. It's got these little devils. Now your XLRs can go in there, and then in the middle your 1/4 inch jacks can go in. You've got your usual suspects here: stereo mono switch. You've got MIDI in and out monitor. You've got the main output and headphone, and the mix to headphone signal to saturated signal, and a phone's volume knob there. This thing has phantom power, 48 volts, a little switch on the back turns that on, and a little light comes on at the front to let you know it's happening. So we're using that when we've got an XLR plugged into either of these two. So I talked about connectivity. On the back we've got a couple of interesting features here with the MIDI in and out. We've got some playback outputs, 4 of those, main outputs with 1/4 inch jacks, and inserts of 1/4 inch jacks, and of course the switch for turning on the phantom power, and a little locking thing as well, which nobody ever really uses, do they? My personal experience with this, I've recorded with it for about 4 months, I suppose. Recorded lots of things with it. It's been reliable, not noticed any latency. It's really simple to control. You don't have a particularly sophisticated monitoring of the signal going in beyond a light that flashes on when it's peaking. There's no fancy dials showing increments or anything like that. So it's pretty basic, but that's fairly easy to overcome. All the switches, everything work reliably. In terms of installing it, just plug it. I'm using GarageBand with it. I've used Ableton with it. You just plug it in, computer recognises it, in it goes. No dramas at all. So you've got to use this device with a dial on your computer, and it claims to have minimal latency, which upon using it, I haven't discovered any latency with the software I'm using at the moment, and quite basic things I've been using it for. It's really for somebody who's recording on their own, that's not got a whole network of mics going simultaneously. As somebody that's on a budget but doesn't want a piece of crap, that's something that works well. It's got good electronics. As for how true to form the Midas preamps are, the mic preamps, I haven't used Midas preamps in higher level devices before, so I'm not really able to make a comparison on that, but they're pretty crystal clear in my experience. I'm using the usual suspects, the Shure Prologues, and a pretty half decent condenser mic, and don't have any problems with it. All the knobs, now this is something worth thinking about. All the knobs are nice and smooth and sturdy feeling, and the switches feel like they'll last for a million presses. The build quality, the feel of it is good. My personal experience with this, I've recorded with it for about 4 months, I suppose. It's been reliable, not noticed any latency. It's really simple to control. It's good for the money. It does what it says on the box, does it well, doesn't break your bank, and it works okay for a chap in a small studio and has a mortgage and lots of outgoings, that sponsors a donkey and has to prioritize. Okay, thank you for your time spent watching this, and do take care.